carrot cake.
I love money.
I hate all of you.
In the world of found footage, you'll probably hear a lot of the same titles circulating around for your first time suggestions. Your Blair Witches, your Grave Encounters, your Rex, your As Above So Belows, and today's movie of choice, VHS. Yay is what I would usually say, but oh boy, do I have some thoughts. So today's video is going to be a little different. I'll be going through the beginning sequence of the movie, and once we get to the segments, I'll be ranking each one from worst to best. If you're unfamiliar with the VHS franchise, it's an anthology series. In every entry, you have an overarching story, which leads to the characters, or in turn us, the audience, to watch a series of very disturbing VHS recordings. Today we have 5, well technically 6 stories to discuss. But let's start with the frame narrative, titled Tape 56. Let's get into it. We start off following a very interesting group of individuals. And by interesting, I mean extremely men. These guys fucking suck. Where do I even begin? I mean, we do have them assaulting a random woman in a parking garage. Luckily, her boyfriend is there, or I think that's her boyfriend. But the other guys start hassling him so they can show this woman's breasts to the camera. Yeah, everyone in the vicinity is getting shot. The boyfriend comes back and they all run away. We then cut to a montage of these idiots vandalizing an abandoned building, cause why not? I mean, you already committed one crime, might as well add on to the list. After all of this degenerate hoopla, we get them discussing how they can make more money. See, what they did to that woman is something they've done multiple times. They apparently get paid $50 for it. I guess they sell these tapes to whatever sick weirdo is into this type of stuff. And within this scene, we get the first look at a reoccurring problem in this movie: the dialogue. I hate the way people have conversations in this movie. It's awkward, it's jumbled, it's irritating. Like, for example, this dude over here. I don't really know any of these guys' names and I don't care to learn them, so we'll just call him Mustache. Mustache says he can make them a whole bunch of money in one night. Way more than what they've been making on what is pretty much pawn shop. But while he's talking, I guess the other guys just stop listening. They try to change the subject and everything. Mustache gets pissed and he straight up breaks the TV with his bat. I can kind of understand that. I hate being interrupted mid-sentence, although, bit dramatic, are we? Like, they're either ignoring him because they think he's bluffing, or he's told them his half-brained schemes before in the past and they didn't end well. Either way, this reaction is a little too much. He tells them all they can break into some old guy's house to find a tape. Apparently this tape is worth a lot of money. He also says he's been hired by an unknown party to find the tape. What's on it? They don't know. Why is the tape worth so much? They don't know. All they know is that the tape is worth something and they're so money hungry they're ignoring all of the red flags. So they all hop into the car and head over to this old guy's house. They get there and they find this guy dead, surrounded by CRT TVs. Well, at least what looks like to be dead. They just see him motionless and says he smells. Great detective work there, fellas. I'd also like to mention there's only 2 of these guys up here. The other guys went down to the basement to find the tape. Little do they know what they're looking for is upstairs, with the old dead guy. But this guy has so many tapes they gotta look around everywhere. Goatee here gets left behind to watch whatever's in the VCR, and that's when the first tape begins to play and we start our anthology. Now let's get to the ranking. I'll circle back to wrap up these guys' story at the end. Coming in last place at number 5, we have Second Honeymoon, a story about a couple who takes a trip to Arizona for their, well, second honeymoon. This is something couples do when they reach a milestone in their relationship, where they take another honeymoon years after their initial one. Sam and Stephanie are the names of the couple. They end up staying in some nasty-ass motel, and we get yet another scene with a male character being extremely creepy and pervy, trying to get his wife to get naked on camera when she is visibly not comfortable with doing so. This scene also goes on for way too long. This is what I mean when I say this movie is awkward. Maybe you could say they're shooting for realism, and real life can be awkward at times, very much so. But it gets to a point where it's a little unrealistic, which is the opposite of what they're shooting for. After this weird ass interaction, they both hear a knock at the door. It turns out to be a girl they both don't seem to know asking Sam for a ride tomorrow. He politely declines, and this creepy hooded figure is still walking around outside near their hotel room. The girl didn't specify where she needed to go because I guess Sam declined it pretty soon into the conversation. He says he got a sort of creepy / scary vibe from her, like something was off. Stephanie asks if they should still call the police, but Sam says no, since nothing actually happened and he wouldn't really know what to say. He would come to regret that decision later. Although in Sam's defense, he's right, you can't really call the cops off strange vibes. If they did show up, they probably just tell the individual to get off the premises. Speaking of which, they both head to sleep, and in the middle of the night we get camera footage of Sam sleeping. That's a little weird. Why is Stephanie— oh. Well then who in the Flying Dutchman is holding this camera? They make some passes at Stephanie while she's asleep, with a switchblade of all things. We also see them take around $100 out of Sam's wallet. Okay, so they're just here to rob them. Murder does not need to happen. The burglar then goes into the bathroom and we see a glimpse of what they look like. Or I should say don't look like, because they're wearing a mask. They take one of the toothbrushes in here and swirl it around in the toilet, and then they leave. Why though? Why risk being caught by these two just to go into the bathroom and swirl a toothbrush in the toilet? Also, they only did this for one toothbrush. Was it Sam's? Was it Stephanie's? You already had the money. This just seemed like a pointless detour. The next morning, Sam presses Stephanie about the money missing from his wallet. She denies that she took anything from him, and he makes a sly remark saying that if it was her, this wouldn't be the first time she's taken an opportunity to treat herself, hinting that she may have spent some of his money in the past without him knowing, just for him to find out later on. I'm sensing some tension here. While a second honeymoon could be taken to celebrate a big milestone for a couple, this trip could also be a way for them to bond due to maybe feeling distant from one another. He doesn't seem like he believes she didn't take the money, although she's not helping her case by giggling behind the camera that she didn't do it. Although that could be a response to discomfort. We do sometimes laugh when we're uncomfortable. They do some more sightseeing, take some cute pictures and videos, and then head back to the motel. Sam goes over the rest of their trip and some more stuff they could do. After they agree with the plans, they both head to bed. During the night, our mysterious burglar is back for some reason. I thought you got what you wanted. Apparently not, because they proceed to stab Sam in the neck and slit his throat. What the fuck? So this is a sick individual. They didn't just want the money, they wanted to hurt someone. In this moment, I thought, well, Stephanie's in trouble, until we make a chilling discovery. And by chilling, I mean kinda stupid. This was all planned by Stephanie and her secret lover, who happens to be a woman, we stan. But let me explain. Rewinding a little bit to after Sam was stabbed, we see the person cleaning off the blood on their hands and the knife. They take their mask off and kiss Stephanie passionately. So if I can put the puzzle pieces together, Stephanie has probably been unhappy in her relationship for a long time. She meets this woman, they fall in love, they keep it a secret and then plot to kill Sam so they can be together. Okay, we've heard this type of plot before. Although, when you think about it, it's kind of extreme. First of all, how long have Sam and Stephanie been married? I mean, this is their second honeymoon. Maybe she's like me and she hates confrontation and explaining herself. So approaching her husband and saying, hey, I don't want to be with you anymore and I'm leaving you for someone else might be a little hard. Granted, some people can do that and have, but it's harder for some than it is for others. Second of all, why did Sam have to die? I mean, in reality, Sam and Stephanie could have came out here. She links up with her new lady, grab the keys in the middle of the night, and then proceed to drive off into the sunset. Sam wakes up in the morning dazed and confused, and by that point, you guys are already far the fuck away. Yet you both went to the extreme of murdering this man, and on top of that, filming it. Yes, because if we want to get away with the murder we just planned and committed, let's definitely document the evidence. On top of that, while driving away, Stephanie asked the girl if she deleted the footage, which she obviously didn't because we're watching it right now. Also, I know I said I'd wrap up the main story at the end, but this guy's reaction to watching that is absolutely hilarious.
What the fuck was that?
I think I'll call him Bandana Man, no big time rush. So this segment falls into last place for me because compared to the other entries, it's just not as eventful. Nothing crazy or supernatural happens. There's no evil, otherworldly things at play. It's just a wife plotting to have her husband murdered so she can run off with her secret lover. It's a pretty simple premise. The twist is kind of fun, but compared to the others, it just falls a little flat. Coming in at second to last at number 4, we have Tuesday the 17th. Did they steal that from Psych? Anyway, in reality, I could have had Second Honeymoon above this one because this segment is kind of stupid, but it does have a slightly more interesting and unique premise, so it gets the bump up. This story follows 4 people. 3 already established friends, Samantha, Joey, and Spider. Spider? That's his name? Okay, so that's definitely a nickname, but spiders are known for being scary, intimidating, or creepy. This guy only looks like one of those things. They're with their newfound friend, Wendy, who apparently lied to both Samantha and Joey, saying this trip was only going to be for each respective duo. Yet we have 4 people in this car. So we've only met Wendy and we already know she's clearly a liar. I guess no big deal. We're already all out here. Speaking of which, Samantha is a little annoyed. She just says they're walking around aimlessly in the woods and they don't even know where they're going. Wendy is also acting very strange. She's creeped out by some wall and we get flashed a video of a dead person laying against it, which tells me something really bad happened in these woods. Joey just thinks she's tripping and she gets really pissed about it and throws dirt at the camera. They also find her staring dramatically at the water. She gets asked what she's doing and she just stares at the camera like this. How well do y'all know this Wendy person? The description says she was a new friend, so I guess they haven't known her for long. We see yet another dead body, this time naked with its spine exposed. Joey making a comment on how the camera is acting up. So to him, does it just look like camera glitches? Can he not actually see what we're seeing? Forget that for a moment, because while they're filling up this mushroom tree, Wendy says this to Joey.
Joey? You're all gonna fucking die up here.
What normal person says this? In fact, if the other things that happened weren't red flags, this being said to me would have made me pack up my things and go. But Greaves, she's the one that drove. I'm pretending to be the audience. Well, that may be true, audience members that are definitely not just James in a wig. And I normally don't condone hitchhiking, but if someone said this to me, I'm a hitchhiker today. So you're probably wondering what Joey says after this, right? This girl just told him that him and his friends are all gonna die. We should be concerned, right?
Joey? You're all gonna fucking die up here.
What? So that's all you got for me, Joey? This girl you barely know just dragged you and your friends out into the middle of the woods and just told you you're all gonna die, and all you have to say is, what? That's not the proper reaction of someone who was just told they were gonna die. That sounded like you don't understand a question in math class, or you didn't properly hear what someone said from far away. And to add insult to injury, he just goes on like normal after this, complimenting Spider's rock skipping skills. Whatever happens to you, Joey, you deserve it. Also, this lake does not look like something worth traveling to the middle of nowhere for. This is what you wanted to do on a random Tuesday? Go skinny dipping in fucking Shrek's bathtub? And then they all start start making fun of Spider because he gets freaked out that they're doing drugs. In reality, they're just smoking a little weed. But he starts getting all tense about it like they're gonna force him to partake. No one handed you the blunt, Spider. Calm down.
Spider, what's wrong? Why do you look so scared? Just take a
I'm
hit.
scared of getting the fear. You know when you do too many drugs and then you get like all freaked out and crazy?
Spider, there's no fucking such thing as the fear.
I mean, he's not wrong. First time I tried edibles, I stupidly took 2 and had a revelation while lying down on my bed in my room that I was in fact lying down on my bed in my room. If that sounds stupid, it was. It helps to be somewhere where you feel comfortable and safe and not a place that Swamp Thing would call its home. While they're all smoking, Joey takes the opportunity to bring up what Wendy said before about them all dying and stuff.
You know, the weird thing is that I don't remember what he looked like.
She then laughs after saying this, and they all write it off as a joke. Haha, so funny. You're such a jokester. Alexa, call 911. Anyway, after this, Joey decides to go swimming, like bare butt cheeks naked, because this is totally a place I want to take my clothes off at. He fake drowns as a prank, and then Samantha goes off to the bathroom. Spider goes with her for some reason, and they both say how Wendy is weird, which I could have told you that. Then Samantha asks Spider if he wants to see something sickening, something that he's never seen before. In my head, I'm like, is she talking about the dump she just took? Gross. My thoughts exactly, but I can't think of anything else she could be talking about after coming out from behind a tree after using the bathroom. Also, I don't see any tissue in her hand, so if she did take a dump, this is highly unsanitary. She stands in this pose as if she's about to do a backflip or a handstand, I don't know. Nothing in this scene makes sense. We then see a glitchy figure off in the distance throw a butcher knife directly through her head, which I feel like requires a good amount of force and precision. For a serial killer, this guy's pretty talented. Spider doesn't really do too much to help her. In fact, this whole death scene is pretty weird. He's just like, oh fuck your eye. Still holding the camera, by the way. The murderous glitch in the Matrix comes towards Spider as he makes a run for it. Ultimately, he trips over a log and gets stabbed several times in the forehead before his body is dragged off to God knows where. Wendy then walks up and grabs the camera, looking around like the Scooby Gang when they find a clue or some shit. She takes it back to Joey, who is thankfully now wearing clothes. He gets up to greet her and asks where everyone else is, and she just simply says they left. Yes, because my good friends who I've known for however long left me with the walking warning label we just met alone in the woods and said nothing to me about it. That totally makes sense. And it totally makes even more sense when Wendy starts making sexual advances towards Joey. I don't know, old school slasher rules? Us having sex will definitely draw the killer out, which I think for some reason is what she's trying to do. Judging by the way she's been acting and the story she told earlier about the murders, that whatever happened here, she must have a history with it. And that's confirmed when we found out that the murders that Wendy was talking about were her friends, and she was the only survivor. The police didn't believe her about him being everywhere, as she says, and she brought Joey and his friends out here for bait. Okay, so let's just rewind a little bit. What was the point of all this? You wanted revenge? Did you want to catch this guy so people would believe you weren't crazy or something? Unless he's been following you around or harassing you and the people you love, you really had no point in coming back here other than to prove people wrong. Yes, because trying to fight the invisible killer that you can't see unless you're filming him definitely makes sense. You do know that in turn you're putting your own life in danger, Wendy. But you gotta prove those people wrong that called you crazy. This'll show them. Like I said before, everything that happens to these people, they had it coming. I could maybe shoot Spider and Samantha some bail, because even they thought Wendy was weird. She said crazier shit to Joey that they didn't even hear. But too late, now we're all dead. Oh yeah, the killer ends up killing Joey. Surprise, surprise. Wendy ends up running, and it seems she's placed traps around the woods for this guy, one of them being a bear trap. Although it seems whatever damage is dealt to this guy, he doesn't feel for long. While Wendy is running, she stops to turn the camera around and says this.
You're watching this? Don't come here.
What? Yeah, and birds fly, fire is hot, and Andrew Garfield is the best Spider-Man. Why are we stating the obvious? Gonna make some people mad with that last one. You should not have came here, Wendy. You could have went on living your life, thanking the stars that you survived such a terrible event. People didn't believe you. That sucks. But hey, at least you're alive. Anyway, we see Joey walking around with a slit throat. How the fuck is this even possible? Is Glitchy Man making him do this? Or is this one of those the human body works in mysterious ways type of things? Anyway, he walks around for a little until collapsing onto the ground, staring directly at the camera. Wendy decides to slow zoom in on his body, I guess, because why not? Our masked vigilante is back, and Wendy pulls a I know what you did last summer.
What are you waiting for?
He steps forward and gets impaled by another trap set by Wendy. So that's the end of it, right? Yeah. You didn't sound too confident there. So this guy's just basically immortal. Him getting hurt is just a minor setback for him. He could just respawn whenever he wants. This has never been more appropriate, but I call hacks. He jumps from behind a tree and bashes Wendy's head in. And if that wasn't enough, proceeds to gut her and play with her intestines. Then her body starts to twitch uncontrollably and the tape cuts. Well, that one was fucking stupid. Honestly, this one and Second Honeymoon are interchangeable for me. This one gets a slight bump, like I said before, because the concept is interesting. A serial killer that's invisible and can't be seen unless he's being filmed. And even then, he still shows up like a camera glitch. That's actually kind of cool. Execution, though? Fucking awful. No idea why she needed bait for this. It seems like you were able to set these traps up without him noticing. And you really needed 3 people for bait. I guess just in case something fails and she needs a backup body, which sounds insane. All in all, Second Honeymoon gets last place for lack of creativity, but not a bad execution. Tuesday the 17th gets a spot up for creativity, but bad execution. Once again, interchangeable, but yeah, let's move on. All right, now we're in the top 3. Coming in at 3rd place, we have the sick thing that happened to Emily when she was younger. Minus the title being as long as a CVS receipt. No, this is not in 3rd place because it shows boobs. Don't be a pervert. It's actually a pretty interesting concept and it has some decent scares in it. This entire segment actually takes place on a video call. Ah, okay, look at VHS hopping on the trend before everyone else did. I don't know if this was the first movie to do something like this, but it was definitely one of the first. It follows Emily, obviously, and her boyfriend James. Huh? You called me? No, not you, the guy in the movie. Anyway, James happens to be an amateur doctor. Emily is on a call with James and says her arm has been bothering her, which this is important, so keep that in mind. I don't know if it's me, but he doesn't seem too interested in her. She tries showing him her apartment and he gives a half-assed,
Yay.
oh wow, he could barely withhold his excitement. He says he'll be seeing her soon, so it's kind of redundant, but she ends up showing him anyway. This is where early on we can see that Emily is experiencing some possible paranormal activity in her apartment. And that's later confirmed when Emily calls James in the middle of the night. She says she's hearing strange noises. Then we can see what looks like to be a child running into Emily's room and slamming the door. 2 things about this scene. Number 1, it seems like Emily has experienced something like this before. She says for some reason it feels familiar, similar to events that occurred when she was younger. Number 2, James's acting is terrible. No offense to this guy, but geez, he doesn't even pretend to sound concerned. In his defense though, most of the acting in this movie is buns, but at least the others had some charisma. This guy is the acting equivalent of watching a 96-year-old fall in slow motion. Give me something. After this, we cut to the next morning and Emily's arm hasn't really gotten any better. She says it feels like a lump is under her skin. She also thinks she should ask her landlord if anyone has died in her apartment, which I'm sure will be an interesting conversation. Go ahead and ask your landlord if there are dead children in your apartment while trying to explain that your rent is going to be late. She keeps messing around with her arm until James tells her to stop. He says he'll check it out when he comes to visit her. Another night and yet another ghostly adventure. Emily's hearing noises again, so she video calls James to feel better about checking it out. It's pitch black, so Emily uses the flash of the camera to see, which just sounds like it'll make it 10 times more scary. She sees yet another child as it moves towards her and she runs away. And get a load of this guy.
Emily! Close your door.
Dude, a snail could give a better vocal performance than you, and his name is Gary. It's like he's just reading his lines off the computer screen and adding 1% of emotion into his voice. Emily starts freaking out and the video cuts. The next morning, something even weirder happens. Yes, weirder than ghost children running around my apartment. Emily is talking to James about her conversation with her landlord. They said no one has died in this apartment, neither have any kids lived here before. So who knows why all of this is happening to her. You'll notice though, she seems hyper-focused on something, and it turns out she's digging in her arm with a pair of tweezers.
That's disgusting.
Mind you, she was having a regular conversation while doing this. Like, does that not hurt you? How are you so casual just digging in your arm like this? She starts to grab something even bigger and James tells her to stop, and that's not going to do any good. And this is probably the most emotion we've gotten from this guy so far.
Emily, look at me, okay? You need to put that away, all right? Digging around in your arm is not going to do any more good, all right? You just need to put some alcohol on that or iodine or something like that and put a bandage on it, all right? Because otherwise it's just going to get infected, okay? You know, I'll be there in a week and I'll look at it. But for right now, just leave it alone. You're acting really crazy, all right?
Now at this point, I was beginning to think that something was wrong with Emily, like mentally at least. Or maybe she's possessed? Is she an alien or something? Well, now that you mention it... Wait, what? It's actually aliens? So we get to the next night and Emily is trying to communicate with whoever or whatever is in her apartment. And she's going to close her eyes so James can see for her so she doesn't get scared and run away.
What?
That's, oh, what am I trying to say? Fucking stupid? No, it's fucking... Actually, yeah, you're right. So she ends up going out into her living room and we see a group of kids in a bright flash. Emily ends up passing out onto the floor. James yells her name out and he gets up and all of a sudden he's in her apartment. He slices her back open and takes out what looks to be a fetus, while also talking to the supposed ghost children, asking them various amounts of questions that don't make any sense right now, but will soon. But let's get to the end of the segment first. We cut to the next morning and Emily is bandaged up with cuts and bruises on her face. The doctor James recommended for her diagnosed her as schizoaffective, a mild form of schizophrenia and bipolar disorder. And she also says this.
I mean, it explains a lot, you know, why I thought I was seeing ghosts, why I don't remember running out into the middle of the street that night.
What? All right, my bad. I'm waiting to the end. So Emily feels bad that she has these problems and says James should be with someone normal, but he assures her that she's the only person he's ever wanted to be with. This turns out to be a lie because he ends up video chatting another woman after this, which isn't surprising because Emily just told the man she loves him and he just stared at her blankly like a doofus. And he's being horny again. This new lady he's talking to also has the same issue with her arm as Emily did. The tape cuts and that's the end of that. Okay, so what does any of this mean? So basically, James was helping aliens use human women as incubators for alien/human hybrids. No, you are not tripping balls. Those were real words that came out of my mouth. The aliens erased Emily's memory, and that's why she thinks she ran into traffic last night, instead of being solar flared by ghost children. Or I guess, alien children? Or just straight up aliens? I don't know. Speaking of which, first question, why do they look like children? Was it to fool Emily into thinking that she's being haunted by the ghosts of random kids? Cool, I guess, but they don't change from this form when she passes out. They just stay looking like children. Second question, why is James the chosen human for this? Why did they trust him specifically to be the one collecting human/alien hybrid fetuses? Also, the bumps in Emily and the other girl are apparently tracking devices? Couldn't have made them a little more inconspicuous so they don't, notice? This seems like an insane operation to be conducting with a guy who isn't fully a doctor yet. Question 3, how does he understand them? It just sounds like noises to us, but he's having a full-blown conversation with these alien kids. Is it like a telepathic thing where it sounds like gibberish to the camera, but to him it sounds like perfect English? I doubt he had time to learn a different language from outer space while simultaneously learning to be a doctor. Seems just a tiny bit far-fetched. Question 4, why are the aliens using human women as incubators for hybrid children? Are they stranded and need to repopulate? They seem to have advanced enough technology, so I'd assume they're far intelligent than we are. Why would you want to combine your intelligence with us dumb humans? And once again, why did you hire this random human man to do this job for you? Was the deal titties? Y'all let him see some boobage and in exchange he goes around collecting human/alien fetuses like a demented Pokemon hunter? This particular mission also seemed a little too close to home. I mean, from what it sounded like, these two were childhood friends, so I couldn't imagine this is something he's happy doing. But I don't know, I could be wrong. Lastly, where was he staying this entire time? Was he in the apartment above Emily? You mean to tell me he's been living here this entire time and she never noticed? They never accidentally left the house at the same time? Bumped into each other at the elevator or something? He says earlier that she thinks he's in Michigan, so somehow he's been playing low profile for her not to suspect he's anywhere but where he says he is. The scares were good in my opinion, and they really carry this segment for me. Once again, great concept, and the execution is far better than Tuesday the 17th. A lot of things don't make sense, but hey, don't think too hard about it. And while you're at it, let's move on to the next segment. Ooh, a Halloween story. 4 friends named Chad, Matt, Tyler, and Paul, the winner for widest group of names goes to, attend a Halloween party at their friend's house. They're all dressed as a pirate, a teddy bear with a nanny cam, a marine, and the Unabomber. Gee, I wonder who the edgelord in the group is. Gotta be the teddy bear. I mean, look at that face. I may have misspoken earlier. They head to a house where they believe the party is. These dumbasses end up at the wrong house, and they'll soon find that out. Didn't know how it wasn't obvious that this was the wrong place since no one is here. Literally, the entire house is empty. You would at least hear a sign of life in this place, but no. Gotta be honest, most of this segment is a tiny bit uneventful, but the last few minutes make up for it in the best possible way. So they end up accidentally walking in on an exorcism. Did I miss a chapter? You heard that right. In the attic of this house, there's a group of men performing an exorcism. They're screaming over and over, "Cast you down, cast you down." And these 4 dinguses decide to join in on the fun. All of the men turn around like, who the fuck? This old guy tells them to leave because they're in danger, and the guy behind him starts getting force choked. He's lifted into the air and taken into the abyss, and the same thing happens to this guy. They all run downstairs. They're about to leave, but Teddy here has morals, and he doesn't want to leave the girl upstairs screaming for her life. The girl they were performing an exorcism on, of course. So they all become Captain Save-A-Ho. Harsh much? Fine. They go back to rescue this endangered young lady. Thank you. Who at this point they just stabbed in the stomach. The guys attack the old dudes and grab the girl. Hands then begin coming out of the floor and the walls. Birds are flying, doors being ripped off their hinges, handprints on the wall, the entire house begins shaking. There are exits beginning to disappear right before their eyes. These are some of the best special effects in the movie so far. That's why this falls in second place for me. More hands are coming out of the walls while kitchen appliances are being thrown and doorknobs are disappearing out of existence. They head to the basement, and I thought at least one of them were going to get killed during all of this, but no, they end up making it out through the cellar doors of all places. They get this girl, who is actively bleeding out by the way, into their car and they drive off, wondering what the hell they just experienced. They don't know where they are and where the nearest hospital is. Gotta love when people need to calm down and think, but they do the complete opposite of that. But I can't blame them with this bleeding woman in their backseat. The car begins slowing down out of their control, driving itself and coming to a complete stop. As hard as they try, they can't do anything to make it move. The girl disappears and then she reappears outside, this time screaming at them. She teleports to the front of the car with white eyes and pale skin as she turns around to slowly walk away. And then we make a terrifying discovery. Well, actually 2 terrifying discoveries. 1, they're in the middle of train tracks, and 2, these guys did not do the right thing. They thought they did. But I'll expand on that second one in a minute. Firstly, they see a train coming towards them. They try to get out, but all 4 doors are locked in the car. They have no choice but to panic and try to get out, but we all know that's not happening. The train impacts directly with the car and they all die. Now, secondly, the guys they fought off were actually the good guys. They were literally trying to cast a very evil and dangerous demon back down to hell, and these 4 dorks interrupted. But can you really blame them? I'd be concerned too if a group of middle-aged men were surrounding a screaming girl bound in an attic screaming for help, especially when they proceed to stab her. They did what they thought, emphasis on thought, was right, and it unfortunately ended up costing them their lives. Fun fact, there's a joke alternative ending where they all make it out of the car before the train hits, and just casually walk away from their exploding car laughing about how crazy their night was. Part of me wishes this was the actual ending, because it would have been hilarious to see people's reaction to this, but still nice that it's an included bonus. premise. I actually really like this one. These special effects are great, especially for 2012. Kind of reminds me of the stuff they were doing in As Above, So Below, just on a lower budget. The actual ending is morbid and the joke ending sticks the landing for me. And with that, we move on to the #1 spot. Okay, so we all kind of saw this coming. This is the segment that most of us think of when we think of the first VHS film. And of course, I'm talking about our #1 spot, Amateur Night. This is the Green Hill Zone of the movie. It starts off strong and you're kind of confused by the rest. The main characters are what are holding this down for me. They fucking suck, and I'll get to that. It follows 3 friends, Shane, Patrick, and Clint. They've all rented out a motel room because Shane was to bring girls back to their room to wrestle. What? Have sex. Oh. Anyway, they put a hidden camera in Clint's glasses, and it's barely even noticeable. In fact, you wouldn't even be able to tell if you weren't these 3 idiots. Clint isn't too bad, but Shane and Patrick are insufferable. Take every smooth-brained dude bruh and give them the intelligence of Patrick Star, amp it up to 15 and sprinkle some Billy from Billy and Mandy in there, and you get these 2 shit for brains. They all head to the bar to pick up ladies, and Shane actually ends up hitting it off with a girl named Lisa, and Clint ends up encountering a very peculiar woman named Lily, who says she likes Clint. In fact, that's pretty much all she says. Clint ends up heading back to the bathroom to take a breather, and we get a glimpse of his mental. We can tell he's sort of the level-headed one of the group. He's the Ed, or Double D as Eddie calls him. He at least tries to have a moral compass. These geniuses end up getting kicked out of the club. Lily is with them, crouching next to a small tree. They try to see what she's doing, but she immediately moves away. We can see that something is a little off with Lily, and by a little, I mean a lotto. That's not a word. Listen, if I tried to act like I enjoyed the antics of these 2 Neanderthals, I'd win a fucking Oscar. Let's just cut to when they head back to the motel. Oh yes, because we're already hammered from drinking, so let's go back to the motel and do more drinking. I couldn't see anything possibly wrong with that plan. Lily is laying down on the bed, not really interested in what's going on, until she sees Clint walk out of the bathroom. She still can only say I like you. Maybe she only knows a few words of English and she's trying to learn. I don't see anything wrong with that. I do see a problem with Shane trying to make out with a girl who is clearly passed out. Luckily he stops to see if he can wake her up, but she is out for the count. Patrick is making it no better by laughing like a jackass on the couch, which pisses Shane off. Clint calms him down and he draws his attention to Lily. Oh well, if I can't have one, I might as well set for the other. Get this guy off my screen. It also doesn't really seem like she's into it. She looks visibly uncomfortable. Shane does end up removing her clothes, and no one notices her feet. So either she hasn't gotten a pedicure in the last 15 years, or she's not human. And considering we're watching a found footage horror movie, I'm gonna go with the second option. In a turn of events, Lily ends up flipping Shane over, and now she's on top. She pulls Clint closer to kiss him. Also gotta mention her tongue is pitch black. Then she begins unbuttoning his pants. Wait, is this what I think it is? It's okay. Me being demonetized aside, Patrick gets up and tries to get in on the action, and Clint gets a little overwhelmed. He goes into the bathroom to cool off, and suddenly Patrick comes bursting into the bathroom bleeding, saying Lily bit him. Now keep this in mind because this turn of events is kinda his fault. In fact, it's entirely his fault. Now it turns out I was right. Lily is in fact not human. She's actually a succubus. Now if you know anything about the lore of succubi, then you will know this is kind of their whole thing. They seduce you in order to drain your life energy. Multiple interactions with them will eventually lead to your death. And while she really likes Clint and doesn't mind Shane, she definitely does not like Patrick. That's shown when he tries to walk up on her outside of the club and she immediately gets away from him. Therefore, when he tries to hop in on the fun, she bites him. And since Clint is the only one she really likes, Shane turns into collateral damage. She ends up killing both him and Patrick, while Lisa is still completely passed out. There have been multiple attempts to wake her, but she ain't budging. Luckily, Lily has no interest in her, but she's gonna have a rude awakening in the morning. Clint sneaks out of the room and tries to run away. Unfortunately, he ends up falling down the stairs and breaking his wrist. Lily ends up finding him on the staircase, and we see what her true form looks like. This shit used to terrify me when I was younger. Lily is still wanting to seduce Clint, however, he's completely terrified. Since she did just murder 2 of his friends, and also looks like this, his reaction upsets Lily and she actually begins to cry, which in a weird way is kinda sad. You like almost feel bad for her. Clint ends up getting away and goes to alert the motel staff, who all tell him to go away because they don't know if he's on drugs or if he's dangerous or what. He ends up finding some other bystanders who probably would have helped him, but he ends up getting lifted up in the sky by Lily, who has now grown wings. That's just great. We don't see how Clint's story ends as his camera glasses fall off his face all the way back down to the ground, and the tape cuts. I think there are better segments in the sequel, but I've always felt this was the best one from the first film. Yeah, you have those obnoxious characters that make you want to slam all 5 fingers into a car door, but this scene always stuck with me, and I'm sure most of you. I couldn't get this image out of my head after seeing it for the first time online. I hadn't even watched this movie yet, or even heard of it. It's considered one of the best segments in the series for a reason, and that's why it's at my #1 spot. Fun fact, they actually made a spin-off movie based on this segment. It's called Siren, released in 2016, and the same actress Hannah Fearman reprises her role as Lily, which actually sounds pretty interesting. I might have to check this one out. But of course, we're not at the end yet. We still got to get back to the main story, so let's see what happens in tape 56. Now, throughout the night, all types of strange things are happening to the group. One of them sees something walking around in the basement, and then other members of the group are just straight up disappearing. Like Goatee, who was watching the first tape, gone. That's where we get Bandana Man here. After watching Second Honeymoon, he's still there, but the dead old guy is gone. However, Bandana Man doesn't notice. Then after Tuesday the 17th, he disappears, and the dead old guy is back. The other guys head upstairs wondering where they went. Then Glasses is next to watch another tape. Although he's really not a fan of being in here with a dead body, after the Sarah tape, he also disappears, and now it's just Mustache by himself. The old dead guy is gone again too. Mustache gets confused and begins looking around. He finds who I believe is Glasses decapitated. Glasses' head comes rolling into the room as we see the old guy who is now fully standing up, and I believe he's a zombie now? At least that's what the internet says. We don't really get a good look at him before Mustache starts running. Unfortunately, he ends up falling down the stairs and is killed by the old guy. And that's when 10/31/98 begins playing by itself. And that pretty much wraps up tape 56 and the entirety of the first VHS movie as a whole. All in all, I really didn't like this movie.
You what?
Listen, there are some very interesting concepts in this film. All the scares that hit, they still hit. However, you can clearly tell this is the first entry in the VHS series because it is rough, which I can't hold against it because like I said, it is the first entry. And for the time it came out, it was quite disturbing. Some ideas were ahead of their time, like the Sarah segment. Some of the special effects are great and some of the practical effects don't look too bad. It's just the acting, the dialogue, the way every character on screen acts just kind of ruins it for me. And that's a big chunk of the movie for it to all be either mediocre or straight up bad. But that's the thing, I don't really have rose-tinted glasses for this one. I was always more of a fan of the second installment, but who knows, maybe that one might disappoint on revisit as well. I haven't watched VHS 2 in a long time anyway, but when it comes to the first one, yeah, I was not really vibing with it. Have you seen the first VHS? If so, let me know what you thought of it down in the comments below. If not, I still think it's worth a watch. You may like it more than I did. Also, let me know your personal ranking of these segments, and what's your favorite installment in the franchise? Mine is of course 2, as I mentioned earlier. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to like and subscribe. Become a member today to get my videos a day early, custom badges and emotes, a shout out in a future video, and a members only video once a month. My name is Greaves, and as always, I will see you guys in the next one. Peace. Shout out to Lucas Pimento 4349, Tommy Jenkins 4107, Cataline 5163, The Snickerdoodle 24, That Darn Cat, Mad Max 5347, Portia Gamlis 8975, Dark Ghosty 22, and Zero and the Zero Clander Act 1408 for being my most recent members. I appreciate you for real.